Hi, everybody. Welcome to Carolina Rides. Time for our once every couple of weeks look at what's going on around the Carolina car scene. And we would also like to hear from you, and more than once or twice every couple of weeks. Anytime, you can hook us up on social media. You can find us on Facebook at Carolina Rides, YouTube, our YouTube channel at Carolina Rides WSPA. You may be watching us there right now. If so, thanks. Of course, this also broadcasts on our WSPA Plus streaming channel. That is free. It's a free app for smart TVs. Be sure to download that, and you can catch this and many other shows as well. You can also find us on Instagram, Carolina Rides Official WSPA. You will find not only information about some of these shows, but we also put up other information concerning some local car events. On top of that, if you ever have any questions or ideas for shows or maybe things you do want to know, we can hook you up with somebody. Feel free to drop us a line there and we will take care of you. Like to welcome our guests for today. Yes, guests, plural. We have Casey Cribbin and Andrea Salcido. They're with E-Storage the Outrun Garage in Greenville. First off, hello. Thanks for joining me.
Hi, Dan. Thank you.
And secondly, probably most importantly, what is the E-Storage Outrun Garage?
So it's actually E3Storage Outrun Garage.
Okay.
It is it's a garage club basically where you can store your vehicle, work on your vehicle, your car, your truck, your bike, your go-kart, whatever it is you may want to work on. And you can use our facility, which includes 2 professional grade lifts, which most people do not have access to at their home. So that's kind of what sets us apart from other storage facilities.
Okay, we're going to go into drill down into detail what you guys have, what can be done there, and a little bit of information about that as well. My apologies about the E3.
Oh, no,
it's right there under your name. You'd think
fine,
I'd know,
fine.
right? Yeah, I'm the one who typed it in there. Anyway, let's kind of start with how you got interested in cars and what kind of led you to this point where, hey, we have got this facility. I don't care which one of you wants to go first.
I'll start.
Okay.
So this is kind of a silly story, but if anybody remembers the movie Christine, where the car comes to life, there was a scene in the movie where Artie first comes up with Christine, and he's got to work on the vehicle, and he doesn't have anywhere to do it, and he finds this old man with a garage who lets him work on Christine in his garage. And ever since I saw that, I thought, why can't I go and rent a garage somewhere to work on my vehicle? And that was probably when I was a teenager or so. And that very, very long time ago was what led us to E3Storage, where we're at now, is because I always had that in the back of my mind, and the stars aligned in some capacity. And long story short, that's what brought us here today.
That is an awesome story. Now, was that the kind of car you were interested in, or what were your automotive desires at that time?
By no means was I interested in that. My automotive interests pretty much peter out when you get before the muscle car era or so. So Christine was not really something I was too interested in. It was a cool looking car, but at the time, I was like most Northeastern kids. I was into Mustangs and IROCs and Z28s and stuff like that. So Christine wasn't even close to what something would be that I would want in my actual garage.
And do you have anything right now that you would consider to be kind of a hobby car or something classic?
The hobby car would be our previous daily driver, which we both love to the point where it's our only car we've ever really kept. And it's a 2012 V8 Jaguar XJ supercharged. And that's our current project hobby car.
Nice. Okay, Andrea, a little bit about your background as to how you got interested in the automotive world and kind of the same things that we heard from Casey, just your version, I guess.
So I have always been grown up in shops and around shops, and my father is a diesel mechanic. My stepfather is a diesel mechanic. My father did adaptive driving equipment in handicapped vehicles, and then my mom was an automotive painter. So I have grown up in shops my whole life. I've been around cars, grew up in the Fast and the Furious era. So my cars were, Mitsubishi Eclipse, Honda Prelude, those kinds of things. And then I became a mom, so then it kind of got boring. But then getting back into the fun stuff with Casey, I had a Ford Fusion as my daily driver, and then I took over the Jag as my daily driver, and now I can't go back to unfun cars.
Now, tell me a little bit about, very rarely do you come across somebody who says, well, my mom was an automotive painter. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, she was a very, very talented painter. She actually did like a lot of airbrushing work for motorcycles and lowriders in Arizona. So that's a different kind of car culture than that's out here. But a lot of pristine detail work along with, doing Coca-Cola logos on the sides of trucks and that kind of stuff. It just really depended on where she was at the time.
That's really cool. Have you dabbled in any of that? Is that anything you were ever interested in?
I am a person who can do anything I put my mind to, so I have not tried going into artistics or anything like that, but I definitely was born with the I can do that gene.
Now, what has been, you mentioned the Fast and the Furious, what has been kind of the cars you may have gone through in that ilk, or what would be your dream ride if you could get access to it?
Right now, this changes on like a monthly, weekly, bi-weekly basis, so it just really depends. But we just visited the Patina Collective in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and there was what was my little one that I liked? The 129.
The 190 Koenig wide body.
Yeah, that one. That's what I would like right now.
I didn't ask that to Casey. What was your dream vehicle?
It's probably going to be just as esoteric as Andrea's. Probably something, I would say, an ABC exclusive Mercedes 560, which we also saw at the Patina Collective, because that's kind of our focus is older 80s, 90s vehicles. So that's kind of our thing right now.
Yeah, what led you to make, for either one of you, obviously we kind of heard Andrea mention that kind of Fast and Furious background leading her to, kind of maybe delve into those types of vehicles. What gave you the, hey, Mercedes?
That kind of came out of the middle of nowhere. I was never a Mercedes guy, really. I did have an AMG Mercedes at one point, but replaced it with the Jag. That felt like that was more me. But at some point, I had been reading about all these very, very custom tuner Mercedes over the years that had been made for people like sheiks of Iran and the royal family of Brunei and things like that. And I'd read all these stories about these one of ones, one of twos that they had commissioned and custom built. And then I started seeing this collection that popped up in real life. And I was like, wow, these cars aren't stories, they're real vehicles. And I started to get a real respect for nearly coach-built stuff that was done in the 80s that a lot of people, even real car enthusiasts, didn't know existed.
For either one of you can start with this question. What kind of automotive work types of things did you do? Because obviously both of you not from this area originally. Before you came here, what were some of the things you guys were involved with?
From a professional standpoint, The only thing I ever actually did was I worked at a Dodge Chrysler Plymouth dealership. It was that long ago that they actually still sold Plymouths. And that was really my only actual professional experience in vehicles beyond anything, personal and enthusiast level.
Okay. Andrea, what about you?
Same. This is just a love of bringing something that I had in my hometown here. So I had a community of people who were able to work on my vehicle for exchange of beer, or not paying full price on any of my auto parts or anything like that. So leaving that network and coming to South Carolina was a very big change for me. And I kind of wanted to make sure that we had that for my son as well as for other people within the community, because you can always learn more and you're going to learn more from other people.
Okay, so now you come to South Carolina, and how long have you guys been here now?
I've been here since 2010, so about 15 years.
And I've been here since 2019, so 6 years.
Okay. So been here a while, probably doing things around here before you started and got involved with the E3Storage facility. Were you doing anything car-related around here locally?
Really just going to car shows, cars and coffees, things like that. just kind of being involved in the community, but not necessarily contributing to the community. We would always go to Eurofest at the whatever golf course it was at, and we would go up to the Carolina Auto Show up at the Speedway every year. So we were in the community. We just, or I say I was in the community, and then Andrea joined me, and we were in the community, but we weren't contributors to the community at that point.
Okay, what is the thing that made you take that next step or maybe leap into, you know what, we're going to have a business, and that business is going to be storing people's cars or motorcycles or whatever?
Do you want to answer this or me? Go ahead. Like a lot of people's big life changes, it came when we were both laid off from our employers. I was laid off toward the end of COVID, Andrea in a similar situation, and we actually had a chance run-in with a gentleman who was renting a former Goodyear or Firestar garage or something like that, and that was kind of the spark that ignited this. Hey, maybe we could make this happen because this landlord's on board with it. That ended up petering out, and he ghosted us. But in the meantime, in trying to figure out how to make this happen, we reached out to the few of these that are scattered around the country that actually exist and asked, we're trying to find out, how did you guys even get insurance for this type of business? And E3Storage, a gentleman named Mark Davis, the owner of E3Storage, reached back out to me and said, hey, why don't we get in touch? Why don't we chat and see what we can do? And that's how Outrun Garage, which is the LLC we started with the intent of making the garage, hooked up with E3.
Andrea, you have anything you want to chime in on that?
Nope, he pretty much got most of it. It was a big thing where it was like, there's a reason we're both laid off. There's a reason that, something has happened big in our life, and why not make the leap? Because we've done a lot of scary things. We've moved across the country, respectively from the Northeast or from Arizona. And so it just felt like the right opportunity. And I felt like if I was going to be investing my time and energy into something, it was something that we were going to build. It wasn't going to be for somebody else that can just let us go at the drop of a hat.
Yeah, and what was the time frame between, okay, this is something we're going to pursue, to your recent grand opening?
2 years.
All in, yeah. From the time we were like, okay, Firestone Garage guy, we want to start making this happen, to grand opening was nearly 2 years. Yeah. A lot of trials and tribulations and changing of directions and pivoting how the business is going to work and everything. But yeah, all in about 2 years.
Okay. We are going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to talk in depth about what the facility is like, what makes them unique, what some of the things are that they do in there or that you can do in there when Carolina Rides continues. Stay with us. Welcome back to Carolina Rides. I'm with Casey and Andrea, once again from the E3Storage Outrun Garage facility in Greenville. And now we're going to talk a little bit about, now that we've got the car background and how the business kind of came to fruition, let's talk about the business itself. Let's say I'm somebody who has got a classic car or two, and you want to sell me on why I need to partner up with you. Sell me.
Well, hopefully you want to protect that classic car. You want to keep it, looking nice, or keep it the patina on it, or keep it in good shape or whatever. And you want to do that in a nice, secure, climate-controlled, safe facility. And that's what E3Storage Outrun Garage offers. We have a 30,000 square foot warehouse, climate-controlled, with parking for about 80 vehicles in there, in addition to a full mechanic workshop. So we've got two 10,000-pound swing arm lifts, a flat workspace, and really the bulk of the tools you would need to work on a vehicle. Everything from cherry pickers to trans jacks to air tools to regular hand tools to a workbench and parts cleaner for you to take things out, work on them. We've got fluid disposal, parts disposal. It's nearly a full-on mechanic workshop minus a couple of things. We've even got a detail station out there, so when you're done working on it, you can wash the vehicle up and then chill and relax in our lounge for a few minutes, before you take off and go on a test drive or whatever. So it really is like a full-on storage and workshop facility for members.
Now, did either one of you, before opening, I'm sure at some point visited maybe another facility in another city, kind of get an idea, kind of lay that groundwork? Because I know there have been facilities like that in a lot of bigger cities. In fact, a couple of years ago when I thought I might be moving, I actually kind of looked into one that was going to be near a place where I was going to be working potentially. It's just to go, because I may want to, have a car live there for a little bit. So what you have, is that something that's pretty common? Is that kind of an amalgamation of things you've seen? How does that work out?
Honey, for me.
So this is E3Storage kind of had the secret sauce already involved in building what it is that we kind of are today. We've taken their baseline and moved forward with it. So we are the largest facility of all of the E3 locations.
No, you're doing good though. We're just talking about how the current facility came to be and kind of where it stacks up with some of the other ones. So you did kind of mention.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the second largest one is 18,000 square feet, and then our smallest is 12,000 square feet. And we did actually visit the Atlanta location and met with Mark, and kind of figured out what it is that they were doing and how it kind of compared to what we wanted to do with the business, and then immediately left there and was like, this is the right place for us. This is what we want to do. This is giving us nearly the turnkey product ready to begin in South Carolina. And then from that point, it was just a matter of finding the building. And that's what took a very long time. I probably know more about zoning codes than I will ever know about, sprinkler systems, all of that kind of stuff, because just finding the right building for this product was kind of complicated in the South Carolina area. But we were able to, our broker with another team of brokers was able to find this building for us. And it's on a dead end street, quiet place. You're not going to know what's there unless you're supposed to be there. So that's also for the protection of our members. We want to make sure that your stuff is safe.
Yeah, I remember looking over, and I forget which source it was, mentioning that the website, for example, didn't have an address listed. And I'm like, well, that's kind of an odd way to go about advertising yourself. Go into a little bit more detail about that.
Yeah, we are a members club. So we're a members club. So when you drive in, you can access the facility 24/7. Your phone is your badge, basically. It lets you in the facility, and then it's a wide open warehouse. So it is a membership club, with the idea being that members are buying into this club, so they're going to be respectful of everybody's vehicles. And at the same time, since it is a membership club and everyone's being respectful of vehicles, we don't want to advertise necessarily what is in that facility. So whether it's somebody's project Miata or somebody's project Lamborghini, we don't want you to know, or we don't want anybody who's not supposed to know what's in that facility. So it's a nondescript, unmarked white building, like Drea said, on the end of a dead end street. Kind of like if you should be there, you know where it is. Otherwise, we don't want you to know what's in there, because our members' vehicles are, they're our priority, and they're trusting their vehicle, their baby, their project, whatever, with us, and we have to have the utmost respect for that. So part of that security is not advertising the address.
The other thing I found interesting that Andrea mentioned is that it's like the largest E3 facility. How did that come to be? Was that intentional? Was that it just happened to be a good building? Because you think a place like Atlanta, you would have so much more opportunity to build like a big clientele, and you'd want the larger facility.
And Andrea did a lot of the legwork with this, because I have a normal day-to-day job that takes me out of the state a lot. So she did a lot of the looking at the buildings and whatnot, and learned, like she said, a lot about the code and a lot about how square footage rent and things like that work. So no, we were targeting closer to half the size of this, but the way square footage works out and how landlords are and the way they price things, it was the same amount of money to get a larger building that it was to get the smaller building we were targeting. So no, we did not aim for something this large, but this is where we're at.
Now, obviously, you haven't been in place for too terribly long, but how has the response been to this particular point?
We specifically like people to drive into the building just to see their response because it is amazing. You don't really get to drive into a 30,000 square foot facility very often. So the fact that you have this 20-foot garage door opening and you are welcomed into this club that you get to see, everybody has just given positive feedback when they've had the opportunity to go in there. So we've opened our doors to the public twice. It's the only times that we've actually published our address. And we've removed it from everywhere just so that way we won't have this member security issue in the future. But that is probably one of my favorite things about giving tours is seeing everybody's reaction to the actual facility because it's amazing. It's an amazing building. And I'm just so happy that we were able to find this and make it work.
Now, you're still a relatively young business. You mentioned the warehouse can fit, 80 cars?
Something like that, yeah.
At what point is there going to be, are you shooting, obviously you're probably not at capacity yet because, again, new business. Right. At what point do you hope to have, say, like a waiting list, or how's that process going to work out once we get down the line?
We're kind of in uncharted territory a little bit there because we are the largest facility, so it's going to take us a little bit of time to fill up. But we do have some plans as we start to reach that point. We will also have transitioned to being able to do outside storage for some people with a fenced-in perimeter fence, as well as stacking some vehicles. So certain members have already asked if they could put a lift in their storage spot for their 2 vehicles. So that's going to free up other spots for members. So that's the near plan. The far plan is always, if necessary, we can expand to a second facility. And we actually have talked, we had a town hall meeting with the other E3 garages this week about what that kind of thing would look like when that had to happen. But right now, the plan would be to start stacking vehicles and then kind of see where we go from there.
That's pretty cool. Now, how does it work if, let's say I've got a car stored and I want to work on it or something like that? Obviously, you don't want to be in a position where, okay, we got 10 people who all want to work on the same thing at the same time. What are the processes when it comes down to the nitty gritty of, okay, I've got my car in there and now I want it worked on, or I want to have, some of my buds over to take a look at this. Is anything special they need to do to arrange that?
It just kind of is going to depend on what type of a member you are. If you're a storage member, or if you're working in a storage spot, or if you're going to not lease, that's the wrong word, reserve the flat workspace or lifts. So we have all of our flat workspace and lifts within a scheduler, and then as a member you get access to the scheduler and you can go in and pick different time blocks that you need. So we can do 1 hour up to 12 hours at a time. We understand that, projects aren't always going to finish as intended. This part's not going to be available, this part broke and you didn't need it, or whatever is going to happen. And so we have the ability to, you can extend your time on the lift or in the flat workspace, or store your car short term within our facility until that part comes in and then come back and finish working on it.
Or you can sit back and wait in the lounge, right? Tell us a little bit about the lounge facility, because I think that's kind of fun too.
Yeah, the lounge is it's a kitchenette and a lounge area. There's a smart TV in there. There's a Nintendo and a Super Nintendo with old vintage games on it to play. There's a kitchenette with drinks, both soft and adult beverages for our members to hang out in. And there's automotive books and old memorabilia and stuff in there as well. We collect die-cast cars, so there's some die-cast cars in there for people to look at and whatnot, just to kind of take a load off and hang out in there. There's couches, there's chairs, there's a kitchen table. You can make yourself some coffee and whatnot. It's kind of like a small little studio apartment there for you to hang out in. Effectively, just don't. If you want to sleep there, sure, sleep there. But it's kind of like a studio apartment there that you can hang out in. If you're working on the vehicle and your family or your kids are getting bored, they can go over there and just get out of your hair.
Now, sleeping there won't upset the codes any, would they? I mean,
I would imagine not. I would imagine. Plus, no harm, no foul.
All right. For somebody who is interested in either checking out the facility or wanting to arrange something so they can become one of your clients, what do they need to do?
So you can check us out on Facebook, which is E3Storage Greenville Outrun Garage. Yep, there we go. You can also find us at E3StorageGVL.com or just E3Storage.com will direct you to our page. And then our Instagrams are Outrun Garage SC and E3 Storage Greenville.
Okay, I'm scrolling through some of the different things here.
Yep.
So, yeah, we've got a membership tab, which gives a little bit of information. And then, of course, there's always become an affiliate, locations, because you do have other things, gear, and then, of course, contacts. So if you have any questions, you can go ahead and send off an email and learn a little bit more about the E3 storage facility.
Absolutely.
If you're on the E3 website, actually go to the locations and then click into the Greenville. There's an inquiry form there as well, and that comes directly to our email. We'll either email you back or call you back, or you can reach us on Facebook or Instagram. We're always checking those out.
Okay, there it is right there. So anybody who wants to learn more about the E3 Storage Outrun Garage, it's all right there on the website, so they can check that out. Pretty cool, and it's a very unique sounding facility that we didn't have one of those, and it's good to see that we've got the car community in place to be able to hopefully fully support something like that. Casey, Andrea, thank you very much for joining me today.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for having us.
And we hope this is something the community is going to embrace and want to take advantage of. So we would love anybody to come down and tour the facility because it is an awesome thing to have access to. So we'd love to see anybody down there.
Yeah, hopefully you have great response to this and good luck. Thanks for joining me, and everybody who's been watching, thanks for joining this episode of Carolina Rides. Until next time, drive safely. See you later.